Imagine being stranded in the middle of the Andes Mountains. No roads, no people, no signal, just endless white snow stretching in every direction as far as your eyes can see. Now imagine surviving there not for a day, not for a week, but for 72 days. And imagine what you would have to do to stay alive. This is not a fictional horror story. This actually happened. It begins on October 13th, 1972. A rugby team boards a chartered flight heading from South America to Chile for a final match. The mood on the plane is electric. For many of these young men, this is the first time they have ever been on an airplane. For some, it is the first time they have ever left their home country. Several players brought family members along, all excited to watch their team compete. There is laughter in the cabin. There are jokes. There is that specific kind of happiness that only exists right before everything goes wrong. The plane begins crossing the Andes mountain range. From the windows, the passengers can see massive snow-covered peaks rising on both sides. Nobody in that cabin has any idea what is about to happen. Then the weather changes. A violent snowstorm hits without warning. The plane starts shaking hard, seats rattling, luggage shifting, passengers gripping their armrests. One person tries to calm the others down. He explains that turbulence over mountains is completely normal. It will pass, just hold on. But the shaking does not stop. It gets worse. The pilots are fighting with the controls now. Equipment is flying across the cabin. People are screaming. And then, a mountain appears directly in front of them. There is no time to turn, no time to climb. The plane slams into the mountainside and splits in two. The rear section tears away completely, taking one of the players with it, swallowed by the sky. The front section keeps moving, scraping violently across the snow before slamming into a frozen rock wall. The impact is so brutal that the seats collapse forward into each other, crushing the people sitting in them. When the movement finally stops, there is silence. Then the groaning begins. The survivors pull themselves together inside a wrecked, half-open cabin, sitting on a frozen mountainside. Blood is everywhere. Bodies are twisted in the wreckage. Those who can move immediately start checking on the others, pulling injured teammates free, trying to reach the cockpit. Both pilots are dead. Out of the 45 people who boarded that flight, 18 are already gone. 27 remain alive, though alive at this point is barely the right word. Many are badly injured. All of them are in shock, and the temperature outside is dropping fast. Night comes quickly at high altitude. The cold becomes something physical, something that presses against your skin and works its way into your bones. To survive the night, the group uses everything available to seal the open holes in the fuselage. Luggage, clothing, anything that could block the wind. They huddle together, bodies pressed against each other for warmth, waiting for morning. When the sun rises, 4 or 5 more people have died from the cold. Standing outside for the first time, the survivors look around and see nothing but white. No roads, no buildings, no trees, no animals. Just a vast frozen valley completely surrounded by towering mountain walls. Getting out on foot seems almost impossible, but staying here means dying slowly. They begin organizing. Seats are pulled from the wreckage to make sleeping space inside the fuselage. The injured are laid in the sunlight to warm their bodies. Snow is carefully melted, drop by drop, collected in bottles for drinking water. Every bag and suitcase is searched. Anything useful is set aside. The bodies of the dead are carried away from the plane and covered with snow to preserve them, so that when rescue comes, they can be brought home properly. All of them are extremely hungry. Now, the remaining food is divided among everyone, with each person receiving just a single piece. Although this piece of food is very small, it is enough to help them stay alive. However, everyone knows that they have to make this food last until help arrives. Everyone is certain that rescue is coming. The government must know by now. Planes must already be searching. Then, overhead, an aircraft passes. The survivors scream, they wave, they jump. But the plane is flying too high and moving too fast. It disappears without slowing down. They watch it go and tell each other, it probably saw us. Help is coming. A few hours later, night falls. Everyone puts on extra layers of clothing and takes shelter inside the plane. They then use the luggage inside to block all the holes in the aircraft. In this way, the night passes as well. Next morning, a young man named Nando regains consciousness. He has been unconscious since the crash. His body is wrecked, barely able to stand. He finds his way to his sister and holds her. Then he asks about his parents. They are gone. Both of them. His mother and father, who came on this trip to watch him play rugby, did not survive the crash. Nando says nothing. He absorbs it, and somewhere inside him, something hardens. The others melt more snow, collect the water drop by drop, and drink just enough to keep moving. On the ground outside the plane, they carve a large X into the snow, a signal visible from the air, or at least that is the hope. Then another plane passes overhead. Everyone rushes out screaming, waving arms, holding up pieces of metal to catch the sunlight. The reflections flash up toward the aircraft. The plane does not slow down. It does not circle back. It simply continues across the sky and disappears behind a ridge. But the group tells itself, maybe it saw us. Maybe someone in that cockpit caught a glimpse of movement down on the white. Maybe help is already being organized right now. That night passes. No one comes. By morning, the answer is obvious. No rescue operation is looking for them anymore. Whatever is going to happen next, they have to make it happen themselves. Someone brings up the tail section. When the plane split apart during the crash, the rear fuselage broke off and slid somewhere down the mountain. Nobody knows exactly where, but that section almost certainly still has its batteries. And if those batteries can be connected to the cockpit radio, they might be able to reach the outside world. The group agrees immediately. It is the first real plan anyone has had. They get to work building goggles from leather strips and broken glass, crude, uncomfortable, but enough to protect their eyes against the blinding glare of snow and wind. 4 volunteers suit up and head out. They walk for a while, then one of them turns around. The plane is gone, not destroyed, not moved, just invisible, completely swallowed by the surrounding snow. The fuselage that had been their entire world for days cannot be seen from just a short distance away. Standing there looking back at nothing, the realization hits all 4 of them at once. That is why no one found them. Before they can process this fully, the snow beneath their feet begins to shift, a slow, deep movement, the kind that precedes something much worse. A week passes, then the food runs out. There is no vegetation on this mountain, no animals, no moss worth eating, though some try it anyway, scraping thin green patches off rocks and forcing it down. The taste is described as horrible, but hunger overrides everything eventually. It is Nando who says it first, out loud, plainly. If they have to eat the bodies of the dead to survive, he will do it. He will do whatever it takes to stay alive. The group fractures. Some agree immediately. Others cannot bring themselves to consider it, not for religious reasons, not for emotional ones, but for both combined. Arguments break out. Some say God will never forgive them. Some say God would understand. Some say nothing and press stones against their stomachs to dull the hunger. Shoes are chewed, leather straps, cigarettes. None of it stops the starvation. Then Nando's sister, sick and weakening since the crash, dies. Nando has now lost his mother, his father, and his sister, all on the same mountain. 9 days after the crash, the first group finally makes the decision. 4 men walk out of the plane, take pieces of flesh from the bodies of their dead teammates, and eat. One by one, others follow. They carry the act away from the plane so that the few who still refuse do not have to witness it, out of respect, out of something that no longer has a clean name. Eventually, only 5% holds out entirely. During this period, a boy named Numa finds a suitcase buried under the snow. Inside is a small transistor radio. The group builds a crude antenna from whatever scraps they can find and gets it working. They pick up a news broadcast. The Chilean and American governments, the report says, launched a massive search operation. 66 aircraft were deployed. They searched for weeks, but the plane had come down in a remote valley completely hidden by surrounding peaks, invisible from above, buried in white. After exhausting every resource, the governments officially declared all 45 passengers dead. The search has been called off. The broadcast ends. The cabin goes quiet. The last 5% who refused to eat human flesh listens to that broadcast. Then 4% walks and they eats. The group now knows with absolute certainty that no one is coming to save them. Whatever happens next is entirely up to them. An idea surfaces. The tail section of the plane, which tore away during the crash, might still have its batteries intact. If those batteries can be connected to the plane's radio, they might be able to transmit a signal, reach someone, anything. A team of 3 volunteers sets out across the snow to find the tail. Hours of climbing, bodies already weakened from malnutrition and cold. They push through it. They find pieces of wreckage scattered across the slope. They find the body of the teammate who was swept away during the crash and give him a burial in the ice. Then they kept moving. The tail section had to be somewhere close. The wreckage patterns told them that much. But hours of climbing at this altitude is a different kind of suffering. The air is so thin that every breath feels like it delivers half of what your lungs are asking for. Legs that were already weak from weeks of starvation now feel like they belong to someone else. The wind cuts through every layer of clothing without slowing down. When darkness comes, turning back is not an option. They find a large rock jutting out from the slope and press themselves against it, using it as a windbreak. It is not shelter, it is barely protection, but it is all they have. They sleep. When they open their eyes the next morning, they are covered in snow, all three of them. The cold had worked on their bodies through the night in ways sleep had hidden from them. One man's eyes have frozen partially shut. The moisture around his eyelids turned to ice while he was unconscious. The other two cannot stand up on their own. Their legs simply will not hold them. There is no discussion about pushing forward. Their bodies have already made the decision. They find a large metal panel from the fuselage lying on the slope nearby. They sit on it, and they ride it down the mountain like a sled, dropping back toward the crash site the same way snow slides down a roof. When the group below sees them coming back empty-handed, the mood collapses completely. Whatever quiet hope had been keeping the last holdout going finally breaks, and the last remaining man also eats human flesh. Cursing his fate, he eventually falls asleep. Days continue to pass. Somehow, through sheer stubbornness and nothing else, the group keeps itself alive. 17 days since the crash. The mountain has not beaten them yet, but it is getting close. Then the weather turns. For 5 straight days, the storms outside are so severe that leaving the fuselage becomes impossible. They sit inside and wait, listening to the wind throw itself against the wrecked metal walls around them. Then storm comes. The worst one yet. Snow pours through every crack and gap in the fuselage, burying people where they are. The survivors dig frantically with their hands, pulling bodies out of the white. Most make it. One young woman does not. One girl does not make it out in time. She is buried too deep, too fast. By the time anyone reaches her, she has already suffocated under the snow. The group is still shaking from that when they hear it. A sound from outside, low, building, coming from somewhere up the slope. Someone looks through a gap in the fuselage wall and sees it. Another storm, bigger than the first one, moving faster. It hits before they can do anything. The second blizzard is in a completely different category from anything they have experienced. Snow doesn't just fall, it fills. It pours through every opening in the wreckage like water flooding a sinking ship. People are buried where they sit. Some die before the storm even finishes. The ones still conscious find themselves sealed inside a metal tube packed with snow, with no visible exit, and the air already thinning. One man doesn't wait. He starts punching through the roof of the fuselage, tearing at the metal and ice until he breaks a hole just large enough to let oxygen in. Everyone below him presses toward that small circle of cold air and breathes. Nobody speaks. Nobody moves. They just hold each other in the dark and pray that the snow stops, because if another wave comes down on top of them, no hole in the roof is going to save anyone. The storm eventually passes. When they finally dig themselves out and take count, 8 more people are dead. 8 bodies lined up and moved to the corner of the fuselage because there is nowhere else to put them. 18 days on this mountain passed, and now, surrounded by the bodies of their teammates inside a frozen metal shell, the survivors face the most painful truth yet. The food brought from the tail section is gone. There is nothing left, and the only thing that has been available for days now is right there in that corner. These are not the bodies of strangers. These are their friends, their teammates, people they grew up with, trained with, laughed with on that flight just 18 days ago. If they stay here and wait, they will die one by one. The mountain will outlast them. Their only real chance is the tail section, the batteries, the radio, contact with the outside world. Someone has to go up there and get it done. 4 volunteers step forward: Roberto, Tintin, Numa, and Nando. They layer every piece of clothing they have onto their bodies and start climbing. Hours pass. The tail section does not appear. The cold works at them steadily from all sides. Then Numa staggers. His legs give out and he goes down hard into the snow. The others gather around him and pull back his layers to check his foot. The wound from the broken glass is black with infection. It has spread far beyond the cut itself. The cold that numbed his pain had also hidden how serious it was becoming, and now it is too late to treat it on a mountainside. The group wants to turn back and bring him down. Numa refuses. He tells them plainly he will go back on his own. They need to keep moving. Every hour matters. He makes the descent alone and reaches the crash site. The moment he arrives, he collapses unconscious. When he comes around, he can see his teammates outside trying to clear snow from around the fuselage. He wants to help. He cannot lift himself off the ground. On the other side of the mountain, the 3 remaining climbers push through and eventually reach the tail section. When they see it sitting there in the snow, still intact, still recognizable, the relief is physical. They go through it immediately. They find the batteries, but they also find warm clothing, bottles of rum, and cartons of cigarettes. They load everything they can carry and make the long trek back to the crash site. The batteries go straight into the cockpit radio. The radio is dead, completely destroyed. Whatever damage it sustained in the crash or the storms, has left it beyond any repair they are capable of making. The last option they had been holding on to disappears in that moment. The cabin goes silent in a way that feels different from all the other silences before it. Numa's infection is spreading through his entire body now. There is nothing anyone can do. He stops eating. He tells the others to keep his food for themselves. He has already understood what is coming, and he is not going to take resources from people who still have a chance. A small group makes one more trip to the tail section, desperate to find anything useful. This time, they return with something unexpected. A large sheet of waterproof material. Back at the crash site, they sew it into a sleeping bag. It is crude and heavy, but it will keep 2 people alive on an open mountainside through the night. Then the radio picks up a broadcast. The Chilean government, the report says, is launching one final search mission. 58 days have passed since the crash. This is the last attempt. The effect on the group is immediate. People who had gone quiet for days start talking again. Something that had been completely extinguished flickers back on. But the debate that follows is immediate and sharp. Half the group says they should stay. If rescuers are coming, movement might cause them to miss the location. The other half says the opposite. Staying here is exactly what has failed for 2 months. That night, Numa's condition collapses. His breathing becomes shallow and irregular. The infection has reached everywhere. Before he loses consciousness for the last time, he looks at the people around him and speaks clearly. When I am gone, he says, use my body. Let me feed you. Then he closes his eyes. After he passes, someone finds a letter tucked into his belongings. Numa had written it sometime during the long days of waiting. In it, he says he is not afraid. He says dying surrounded by his friends in the middle of something this extraordinary is not a bad death. He says he is happy. The letter is read aloud inside the fuselage. Nobody speaks for a long time after. Then Nando stands up. 3 men prepare to leave. They take the sleeping bag. They take as much food as they can carry, and they make a decision that is different from every previous attempt. This time, they are not coming back without help. They climb through the night and into the next day, sleeping inside the bag on the open slope when darkness makes the terrain too dangerous. The second morning, they reach the peak. What they see on the other side stops them cold. Mountains, endless mountains. No valley below, no green, no roads. Just more of the same white emptiness in every direction. Tintin does the math quietly. 3 people, this much food, that many days of terrain ahead. The numbers do not work. He takes his entire share of the food and hands it to Roberto and Nando without being asked. Then he tells them to go. He will return to the crash site alone. They watch him start back down the slope. Then they turn and face what is ahead of them. 10 days. Roberto and Nando walk for 10 days. They sleep inside the bag on rock and ice. They eat sparingly. They keep moving when every muscle in their bodies is telling them to stop. The mountain does not flatten. The cold does not ease, but they do not turn around. Then the snow starts thinning. The elevation drops. The air gets slightly easier to breathe. And eventually, a river. Clean, moving water running between rocks in a narrow canyon. They get down on their knees and drink until they cannot drink anymore. When Nando looks up, there is a man on the opposite bank, on horseback, completely still, watching them. Neither Roberto nor Nando can react for a moment. After 70 days surrounded by nothing but snow and silence and death, a living human being standing 50 meters away does not compute immediately. They stare, then they scream. They wave both arms. They shout everything they can think of. The man can see them clearly, but the river between them is loud and wide, and their words are lost in the noise of the current. He reaches into his saddlebag, wraps a piece of paper around a rock with a pencil, and throws it across the water. Nando catches it. He writes fast. The crash, the mountain, the valley, the people still up there alive, the coordinates as best he can describe them. Everything on one small piece of paper. He throws it back. The man reads it. He looks up at them once more. Then he turns his horse and rides. Within hours, the paper reaches a Chilean government office. An official reads it and understands immediately. The passengers everyone declared dead 2 months ago are not all dead. Some of them are sitting on a mountainside right now, waiting. The rescue operation is authorized before the day is out. The horseman brings Roberto and Nando to his home. He feeds them a full meal, the first real food either of them has eaten in over 2 months. The news spreads through the nearest city within hours. Reporters descend. Phone lines light up, and somewhere high in the Andes, inside a wrecked fuselage buried in snow, a small radio crackles to life with a broadcast that changes everything. The survivors hear their own names. They hear that Roberto and Nando made it. They hear that help is coming. People who had been sitting completely still for days suddenly cannot stop moving. They wash their faces in melted snow. They fold their belongings carefully and pack what little they have. They stand outside on the mountain that has held them for over 2 months and look up at the sky, listening for the sound of rotors. The rescue helicopters arrive, led by Roberto and Nando. 72 days after the plane hit that mountain, the last survivors are lifted off the Andes. They are flown to the city. Their families, who received death notifications weeks ago, are waiting on the ground. The streets are crowded. People are calling them heroes. At the hospital, they are given clean rooms, clean beds, warm food, and their own space for the first time in over 10 weeks. Each person is assigned a separate bed. That night, every single one of them pushes the beds together and sleeps in a group. Some things cannot be undone that quickly. Of the 45 people who boarded that flight, only 16 came home. With that, this film based on a true story comes to an end. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this.